was it almost 2 years ago, we lost quite a large sum of money, and we're working on recouping it. We lost $600,000. And then now more recently, about a year ago, we've been fighting to get back another 500,000. So all in, right now we're down $1.1 million. Yo!
Nerds.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Nüvida Let's Talk. Today we have a dynamic duo joining us, each bringing their unique flair to the world of entrepreneurship and investment. First up, we have Diana, a powerhouse in the real estate realm. As a savvy real estate investor, Airbnb wizard, and private lender, Diana has navigated the market with finesse. And alongside Diana is Dexter, a talented guitarist for Apogean, a Canadian death metal band that's been making waves in the music industry. But that's not the extent of Dexter's talents. He also too is an investor, a private lender, and seamlessly blends his passions for music with a keen on business sense. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Took us a couple tries to get that intro correct.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. And how you guys doing? How's your day going? How was the drive up?
Really good. Yeah, we live pretty close by, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Luckily, the weather is not as bad as last week, so.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I kind of want to get into how you guys met, because I feel like, you guys are a couple that are coming onto this. So I want to get the backstory of that first, and then we'll deep dive into each of you.
Yeah, so we were actually door knocking we had a job doing HVAC, and
Oh my God, it's actually kind of funny. So Dexter started before I did, maybe like a month before. So I was like, young, summer job, let's go get that Canadian experience. So I get the job, and I think on day 2, we were eating in the food court, because it's like, that's where they bring all the door knockers. And Dex comes to me, he's like, oh, I'm Dexter. By the way, I'm not a manager here. I'm like, yeah, bud, like I know my manager, like thanks for telling me. It was like incredibly awkward, but like he was very charming. So, and then I don't know, just one of those days we were just door knocking together and talked and stuff like that. He walked me home, and the rest is history. So
What made you walk up to her?
I was a little nervous. We worked together, right? So we like spent a few days working together, knocking on doors and things like that. And I think a lot of, I don't know, I could be wrong about this, but I feel like door knocking is a really good entryway to entrepreneurialism, because you have to kind of get out of your comfort zone and approach people, and it's about building connections and making relationships with people. And yeah, anyway, it was fun working with her, and we kind of hit it off, and we got along, and that was about it.
Would you say door knocking kind of is what opened both of your eyes to breaking the barrier of talking to people?
Yes, yeah, it was very nerve-wracking, because you're approaching absolute strangers, and they don't really like the fact that you're approaching their property, or like, you only have a few seconds to build a rapport and to kind of, get past that nervousness and all that. And yeah.
Were you guys talkative before? Or were you guys very reserved introverts?
I was an extrovert, actually. Yeah, I was always very social, had a lot of, friends and everything like that.
Yeah, no, same for me, but it's like English is not my first language. So for me to go into like a sales field, it was a bit, just pushing that comfort zone and just having to knock on the door and stare at a person and be like, hi, I'm here to sell you your new furnace, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's very nerve-wracking, but once you do the job for like a couple of days, you can literally talk to anybody. Like that whole barrier just breaks. You can chat on the phone. So,
The main thing too is we weren't really focusing on selling so much. We were more actually just making genuine connections, meeting people, making lots of friends. We had a really fun time.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is we weren't even selling. We were literally just not even doing our job, really, if I'm being honest.
I was literally having like barbecues with homeowners in the backyard. They're just like, oh, like, do you want some burgers? I'm like, sure. And that was just
like cracking beers with people, everything like that. Had a really good time. And, by sharing some information, like some people, if they're interested, cool, like no pressure, just providing the info. And then we ended up getting some clients that way as well. But it was mostly just about being ourselves and being goofs and having a fun time. And
So what happens after door knocking? Do you guys start your media company, or how does that go?
Well, I was in school at a time, so I just finished my school and went to the corporate route like you're supposed to.
What did you do for school?
I went to like a business, I had a business degree in like international business management. Sounds so fancy, but literally like it was like about everything. There wasn't anything specific. Like we've studied finance, marketing, just about everything, like IT. So I went like the corporate route. I was like in investment banking for a while, like changed a few investment companies, then worked for one of the major banks. And then I don't know, I just discovered real estate, discovered the fact that you don't actually have to have a corporate job to live a very comfortable life. So that was kind of my story. And
yeah, same. You know, after this summer job, I also had a corporate job for a while. I hated it. It was awful. And I think after that, we were both very motivated to find ways to start our own businesses and to get into entrepreneurialism. And yeah, I guess it's been almost 3 years now since we've left our jobs and since we have been operating our own companies and working for ourselves. And that's been great. And I mean, alongside of working the corporate job, I was also pursuing audio engineering and my bands and things like that. But then being able to do what I want to do full time has been a huge change in lifestyle and, you know, in dynamics. You really get what you put into it. It's been great.
How long have you been involved in music, Dexter?
My whole life.
Okay.
Yeah, I started music at a very young age. I started with piano when I was you know, maybe like 8 years old or so, and then I picked up the guitar. Yeah, my whole life really, studying it, teaching, playing in bands, recording, concerts, everything. So yeah.
And you have a band right now, right? Apogean?
Yes.
And like how many people are in that band?
5 including me. Yeah. So
I'm sorry, I was gonna say you guys on Spotify, you guys had a lot of streams last year, right? It was like 53,000 or something like that.
Yeah, and it's growing pretty fast. We have a record label in Nashville, Tennessee. We have a singer in Richmond, Virginia, who's also our manager. And yeah, I mean, it's a very niche genre. It's a bit of an underground genre, but we are doing pretty well within that subgenre. So it's it's fun.
And when you guys quit your corporate job, like was it near the same time, or like did you do it first and then you did it? Like how did
we
that
quit
go?
together?
yeah, we quit
That's
together.
pretty
Yeah.
cool though.
That's sick.
But it was
Yeah.
so stressful. I feel like for Dexter, it was like yep, I'm done. I'm quitting. Here's my resignation letter. For me, I was like, I don't know. Is this the right move? Like, it was so much fear involved in that. But I was so miserable at the same time. I was like just stressed out of like, I don't want to be here. It was around COVID times that we were just like working remotely. I was just sitting at my desk at home. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm so like miserable. I just want to enjoy life. Is this really how my another 40 or so years are gonna look like? And Dexter's like, no, like, come on, we just gotta like, you know, pull the plug, let's go. And we just did it at the same time, and it was probably the best decision I've ever made.
What was like your number one reason to do that then?
It was well, I think that time and health is your most valuable assets. And in a job, like let's say a corporate job especially, I hated my job. So I felt like I was trading my time for a paycheck, and I was like, no amount of, you know, time and work and all that is worth it unless I'm doing what I enjoy doing. And, you know, they make it very comfortable for you. Obviously, you have regular paychecks, you have benefits, paid vacations, all that stuff. So that feeling of quitting the job is terrifying because you have that uncertainty, like, how am I going to make my next paycheck? How am I going to survive and pay the bills, all that stuff. And it's very scary. But I think the few people that are willing to take that risk are also the people who will discover that there is ways to make money and survive and be happy and kind of break out of the matrix, so to speak, you know, breaking the mold, right? So that's very, very important to me. And, you know, they say if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life.
Was there an inspiration that forced you to do that or pushed you to do that?
So Diana was my inspiration to get into the corporate world, and she was also my inspiration to get out of the corporate world. Because I think when we first met, we were looking for some savings and some financial stability, and we were looking for a few things to just do, like the regular thing that you do when you get out of school and this and that. And then, but Diana also really got into reading a lot of books and watching a lot of podcasts and watching a lot of YouTubers, and she learned so much about her background, which is, you know, obviously finance, but now also real estate, investing, entrepreneurialism. And for me, initially, a lot of that stuff, I'll admit, was secondhand knowledge, but I was really interested in the concept of, you know, again, breaking the mold, working for yourself, doing things on your own terms, but also being able to be lucrative and make money and all that, right? So, yeah.
And what kind of books were you reading at that time, like to kind of shift your mindset?
The best book I've ever read is Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm sure I'm not the only one to say this, but that book literally changed my life. Like, I can attest to that because I was always, maybe it's a cultural thing. You're supposed to finish school, get a corporate job, buy a house, like your standard, rat race and stuff like that. And the second I read that book, I'm like, I could do something different. Like I don't have to go the same pathway. Plus, I'm not feeling fulfilled. I was always the type of person getting a promotion, getting a new job every year, every 2 years, just always climbing. And I'm like, I don't want to work for anybody. I don't have a boss. Like who likes being bossed around? Not me. Yeah. So I read that book and I'm like, oh, there's real estate investing. I'm like, okay, let me research it. So I just like Googled, on YouTube, there was like Matt McKeever's channel. It was very big at a time. I just soaked it all up. I was binge watching his content like hours on end while working. so and that just kind of like opened the door to the whole real estate investing.
And what made you take business in school?
It's a good question. So I always wanted to be a doctor for the longest time. I'm not from Canada, so my parents are doctors.
What is your background?
I'm Russian.
Okay.
So so my parents are doctors, and like for the longest time, I'm like, I'm gonna be a doctor as well. And because they wanted a better life for me, they're like, okay, you have to study elsewhere. So we were debating, and we just settled on Canada, and I guess that's the only thing that was affordable at a time is to go to to get a business degree, because obviously being a doctor in Canada, that's it's like a decade worth of work. Working and studying all that stuff, and just I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna do business.
Yeah. Also, there wasn't like any entrepreneurship at a young age where you wanted to like start your business. It kind of just like flowed that way, or?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But now I'm kind of thinking back, like both of my parents have their own practices. So I technically grew up in like a family of entrepreneurs, maybe without even realizing, because I was always saying, my parents are doctors, but now I'm thinking about it. Oh, they have successful businesses. So like, I guess I was kind of looking up to them. And when I was still working my corporate job, kind of, I want my own business. And I was like so afraid to talk to them because I thought they're going to say, no, like stay at your job, like all that stuff. And they're like, yeah, you should totally do it. Like, let's go. Like, cool. It's like my dad is always like the type of guy, he like researches cool ideas, something that's not been done before. He's like, have you thought about like starting, let's say, cleaning company? Have you thought about laundromat? Have you thought about this, like storage? I'm like, whoa, like I got so much support. And I just felt good about it. It's like when you have that family support to quit your corporate job, because sorry to say this, but not a lot of families would be, comfortable with something like this, you doing that. So I felt very good because like my husband is on board, my family is on board, so why not?
What about you, Dexter? Like in your inner circle, was there any like people who like were entrepreneurs that you kind of fed off? Or?
Yeah, so for me, it was actually a bit of the opposite. My parents had very stable jobs, very conservative and all that, and I think they wanted me to also work like a regular job and kind of regular 9-to-5 lifestyle and all that. So I didn't really have that much support. It was more something that came from internally, actually, that it was something that I wanted to do for myself. And, my story is a little bit different. I was actually a high school dropout. So I was never, that great of a student or anything like that. And I did construction for 6 years or so. And I worked with my older half brother, and he's a pretty tough guy, and it was hard. But, I learned a lot about how people, like what they were doing. They were doing flips. They were renovating houses. They were obviously someone was making a lot of money from these projects. And we were obviously more like the workers, right? And at a pretty young age, I mentioned, around 16, when I dropped out of high school, the money I made from construction, I decided to put a down payment on a house. So while everyone else was buying cars and all that, I bought a house for very cheap, put a down payment, paid it off over the course of about 10 years. And then that house originally was about like $250,000.
Where again? Like what area?
In Toronto.
Crazy.
And then a few years back, we, I guess like 4 years ago, or almost 4 years ago.
When we quit the job.
When we quit the jobs, we sold it for $1.5 million.
Wow.
So it was like kind of a slow path of just working really, really hard, multiple jobs my entire life, and always grinding and hustling and all that. And then that equity that I had ended up being my big kind of lucky break in the industry to get my foot in the door. But I've been an entrepreneur for a long time in a sense of my mindset, because pursuing bands, working as a recording engineer, working in studios, things like that, it's all something where I'm my own boss. I do it for myself. I'm not working for a company and nothing like that. I'm just doing it alone.
Was there a reason you dropped out?
Yeah, I didn't like, back then I was really into skateboarding and snowboarding. Okay. And I was even semi-pro at snowboarding for a while. I was competing and I was teaching. and I was also teaching guitar as well as snowboarding, and I was making good money at it.
Yeah.
So if I'm being honest, where it came from, I saw kind of like how my parents didn't love their job and how they spent so much of their life working so hard for that paycheck. And for me, I was like, well, I would rather do things that I love, right? So skateboarding, snowboarding, music, that's just what I'm going to do. And I was stubborn. But I think that there's value in being stubborn sometimes, because if you're determined and you work really hard, you can overcome a lot of obstacles, right? So
I feel like that's like kind of rare at a young age to be like that stubborn and firm with your beliefs. You know what I mean? Because like usually people want to comply with their parents. They want to make them happy. And you're just like, nope.
And you're against the odds. You're against your friends. You're against your family. It's a very independent path.
Did you feel like any support during that transition? Or?
No, I struggled with a lot of bullies. I had a very troubled past. I had pretty violent past even. But yeah, I think the difference is that when I was growing up, I was always kind of seeking validation. But once I gained skills and I got good at things that I do, then I found that it was very, very easy to meet people and to make friends and to grow my circle and my network and all that, because there's a level of respect based on what have you done, right? Yeah. Like what's the proof of work, right? Yeah. Like what's the portfolio and all that, right? So yeah.
How long did it take you to actually overcome like yourself when you thought like I might not be the person that I need to be now, but as you developed your skills, you got to that point?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, we're kind of back, late teens, early 20s, but finding that confidence, right? That inner strength and confidence and all that, that was the big shifting point, because once you feel confident in what you're doing, you can overcome a lot, right?
Yeah. Was there any point in your life where you kind of went through something similar, where you had to find your own confidence?
Honestly, I've been so lucky. Like, I always had like excellent childhood. My parents are very supportive, but they were pretty strict with me. Like, I have a younger brother. They were a lot more lenient than with me. It's like, I remember like, stripping papers off my notepad and rewriting everything because it wasn't perfect. So it's like, it was a lot of that perfectionism in my life, which made me very competitive as a result. So I was always like, I have to get good grades. I have to be the perfect student. I have to be, everything has to be perfect, which of course creates a lot of anxiety and stuff. So for me, that whole transition from going the corporate route and the rat race, that's why it was so stressful, because I'm like, okay, like I know there's a path built for me. There's so many people that have done that. You just climb the corporate ladder, you become like whatever CEO, director and stuff like that. And here I am sitting like, okay, I want to be my own boss. Like, what am I doing? So it was scary, but just knowing that I have that support system behind me, it's like no matter what happens, they're like, yeah, you know what? Like, at least try, like whatever, like, it doesn't work out, you always have that corporate route to fall back on, which is of course like not for me, but
and that's the thing I think a lot of people forget is like you have a job to go back to if it doesn't work out. Like you can just apply anywhere, like exactly. If you're able to communicate well and you have like some set of skills, you can get a job anywhere. Like after 6 months or 4 months, people don't bet on themselves, right?
Yeah. And when you're working for yourself, there's really no safety net, and the falls they hit hard, obviously.
Yeah.
What would you say has been like the toughest part for working yourself after like for so much years?
Well, yeah. So on that topic, about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, we lost quite a large sum of money, and we're working on recouping it. We lost $600,000, and then now more recently, about a year ago, we've been fighting to get back another $500,000. So all in. Right now we're down $1.1 million. So that's been just the financial hit has been really, really hard. And that's been our biggest obstacle to date, for sure.
Has that been a struggle between both of you also?
Yes. Yeah, I put a big strain on our...
for sure.
You just... the term that comes to mind is mental gymnastics, like not being able to sleep, being stressed out, being depressed, being angry, things like that. It's not, it's not an easy, again, it's a very large sum of money, and it's with two different parties. With one person, things are still good. We're on good terms. We're working it out. Things are amicable. With the other party, we're fighting. It's not amicable. So yeah.
And these were two you guys were private lending?
Yes, we were private lenders.
On real estate or?
Yeah, it was like on the promissory note. The one was supposed to be for like an apartment building. The other one was just the promissory note to one of the real estate people who just constantly flips and stuff like that. But on the relationship part, it's been difficult But it's been also very helpful to have somebody there with you, because there's a lot of times that I would have a very bad day, like you just not feeling myself, and Dex would be like, you know what, like we're doing things, we're grinding, things are happening for us, and the opposite happens for him. When he has a bad day, I'm like, you know what, I'm here for you, like we're in this together, so you know, what's the worst can happen, right?
Yeah, that's very well said. Sometimes, obviously, it being a horrible situation, it kind of puts a fuel for us to work even harder to be even more successful, because if we can make that money back again and then double it, triple it, quadruple it, then that's more valuable than having lost it in the first place. And it has actually strengthened our relationship as well, because we are each other's support system. We're there to motivate each other. Since then, I got into the gym every single day. I got in with a personal trainer.
Let's go.
We've been, grinding even harder, hustling even harder. And, you know, there was a while there, private lending, it's all passive income. So we just have money coming in automatically. We don't have to do anything. So there was a while where we were a little bit complacent, where we were feeling we're kind of on cruise control, we're traveling, we're enjoying life, we're happy. And then bam, this huge shift happens. And now we have to hustle and work even harder and grind. So, you know, now we're looking at a lot of big moves, like moving to the US.
Potentially,
We're working, you know, we want to move to Florida.
We're like restructuring our production company. I got my real estate license. We're just like trying to get back on that track. And
production company is growing. It's doing very well. And, you know, now we do have excellent support system. We do have a great network, great friends. So that story that I shared about when I was younger, I mean, I'm 38 now. So a lot has changed since then. I have an amazing circle. I have so many supportive friends. I can't thank my circle enough. Like, they're really there for us. You know, they have our back, everything like that. So it's been wonderful.
Seems like you guys are excelling after that situation.
Yes. Yeah. It's sometimes, you know, you hear about, I believe, Alex Harmozy.
Yeah.
He lost like
I think he lost in the past a lot of money as well. And I mean, look at him now, right?
Yeah. It propelled him to grind and to make even more money after, and to be even more successful after.
Yeah.
Do you find going through that is why you guys are where you're at now?
We were on that path regardless, I think, because we were really motivated. But to answer that question, though, I think we're even more motivated than before, when we were sort of like on cruise control for a little bit, where things were good. And
just had like complacent, just kind of cruising.
Yeah, you just, you know, you're just like traveling, chilling every single day. But when you lose it, you know, it's like when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So you gotta like really work hard.
What was that conversation like when you guys realized what happened?
Was
it just panic, or?
It was panic. It wasn't just like, you know, it's like the day it happened, we still had a lot of hope that we can work through it, because I mean, like, we're reasonable people. We're always trying to make like some sort of a repayment plan. And at the time, we were still on good terms. And then our communication kind of went down with that individual slowly.
We were getting the runaround.
I was getting like around and
like the person who screwed us over. They're very well known in the real estate community, especially in Airbnb. And they were making excuses, giving us the runaround, blaming us, making us, you know, just
blaming you guys for what though?
Was saying that things like they thought they could pay us back anytime, even though we had a contract. You know, just kind of
shady business,
being shady, trying to manipulate the situation and the details and all that. And we were being very reasonable. We're like, hey, we can work out repayment plans. We can lower the interest rates. We're being very, very accommodating, right? Like giving.
We're trying to be as creative as possible, right? Because it's like you got to work with a person's situation. And if they don't have any money right now, I mean, like, they're not just magically going to get it from somewhere. So we're like, okay, how about we do this and that? And the communication slowly became very bad, like to the point where I got ignored for days on end. And at that point, we just decided to involve like a legal counsel, because I mean,
and at first
what else
said,
do you do, right?
You know, at first we said, hey, like, if we can't resolve this, then we will have to seek legal counsel. And then this person got very offended by that and said, oh, well, you know, it's a low blow. You're saying that you're gonna get a lawyer involved, blah blah blah, and got super upset. And then, you know, the steps were that first the person defaulted. They owed the money on my birthday, funny enough. So November 1st.
What a gift, eh?
November 1st, almost 2 years ago.
Or November 5th, but
November 5th, close to my birthday, but 2 years ago it's been. And then the next thing was then the interest payments stopped after a while, right? So the person was still paying interest for a bit and then stopped paying interest. So now we're not getting any interest. We're not getting any principal. There's just no money.
But
So we're trying to work out a deal and
but maybe
negotiate.
to answer your question,
yeah.
because it was kind of like a slower process, it wasn't just like immediate panic mode,
yeah.
fear, all
Yeah.
that stuff. We were still like, yeah, we can work with them, because like that individual, we were very friendly with them. Like we would go out
Good
for
terms.
food,
Yeah.
good terms,
Wow.
message on Instagram. Like we wanted to do deals together. Like it was a very friendly relationship.
Friends in common. We have lots of
yeah,
friends
a
in
lot
common.
of friends in common.
Yeah.
So there was still that like hope, because
Yeah.
you know, you want to do business with the person,
Yeah.
so you obviously like kind of, you know, same values, or you think so. And then it just slowly kind of degrades to the point where you're just feeling okay, like there's no options for me left. Like we the last step is the legal step. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like
Yeah.
where the human communication and all that goes out of the window, and that's your last
And what
thing.
would you guys do differently, I guess?
Well, we actually would not even private lend anymore. And if we
Yeah,
did,
it's-
we would want a first mortgage or a second mortgage, and we want to make sure that there's equity in the deal to protect our asset.
Yeah.
But I just think that private lending, from our experience, is just too risky, because we were successful at it this wasn't our first rodeo. Like we've done it a bunch of times before, never had any issues. And we were actually very, very selective about who we would lend to. We would only lend to people that we knew through our personal inner circle, who we trusted, who we knew, and everything like that. Right. So,
So this
the fact
person
that it
got
was
through-
someone that we knew that just did this to us, it's, you know, and this person supposedly cares about their reputation and all that, but their actions would prove otherwise. Right. So, yeah.
It's crazy. I heard this one story. I think it was on a podcast, and it was saying like, there's two wolves, right? Like there's one in the dark and one in the light. Which one is more likely to survive? And the answer is like the one you feed, right?
Yeah.
So in this situation, like you guys are feeding into that positive, like you guys are making this a positive. As negative
Oh, yes.
as it is, you guys look like you guys are thriving from it. You guys are growing from it. Now you know if you like your next pitch deck as a private lender is gonna have a second mortgage on it. So I think
Yeah.
it's like nothing but beneficial. You know what I mean? And I'm glad
Yeah.
you guys are able to share that, because a lot of people do like go through these experiences, and these aren't the things that are talked about on Instagram. These aren't the things that are
Never.
like heard of. You
Yeah,
know what I
we
mean?
talk about the ups and the downs, because we could sit here and brag all day about all our successes and wins and everything, but that doesn't really add value. It doesn't really help anybody, right?
Yeah.
So, well, it could. Yeah, you know, it could. We could share a lot of information about our strategies and things that have worked for us and all that. But I think the real ones out there are also willing to talk about the downs, right? Most people don't want to talk
I mean,
about that.
failures stick better in your head, right? Like you hear,
Yeah,
oh, I heard
100%,
that couple
100%.
lost like so much money doing private lending on a promissory note. Maybe we should, you know, refine our criteria who we're lending to. Maybe that business is not for me, or maybe I do have a risk appetite for that if I'm getting enough interest. So, you know, I feel like that story or the lesson is a lot stronger, because it's a failure lesson, not a, you know, like, oh, hey, like I made so much money, I'm so
I don't
rich.
even
like,
I don't even like the word failure. I think everything is it's a
Lesson?
challenging situation. It's a lesson. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can learn so much from it. Right. So
Do you think you'll ever private lend in the future, or is it done at this point?
we're open to it, but again, we would probably want like at least a second mortgage, preferably a first mortgage, just because we would want to secure our investment. And I think what we would do differently is lend smaller amounts of money and spread it out instead of having such large amounts
with one person
with one person.
on
yeah.
one deal.
So before you mentioned that this was a loss off private lending, what was the other one? The first five, was it private lending?
So
also?
private lending for both, yeah. So
Okay,
600,000 with the one person that we're actually in the legal proceedings right now, like it's in courts as we speak. And then the other person was also private lending, 500,000, so a little bit less. And great terms, great communication, still very hopeful. This person actually has equity, so we're hopeful that we can at least recoup our investment. While the first guy is just proving to be a bit of a phony, unfortunately, right? So yeah. But again, you know, to keep things positive, like we are very very motivated to, you know, to overcome this and to work harder than ever before. And I think in a weird way, it's like if something like this didn't happen, that we wouldn't be as motivated as we are today. And
Probably
as
not.
you know, we're still doing fine, right? Like, so we still have quite a bit of success, quite a bit of money, all that. Like, you know, not to, you know, not to boast or anything.
You're so
but
flowers.
We're not
It's
ruined,
awesome,
right?
man.
So
Yeah, and since we're on a topic on real estate, do you guys can you guys talk about your real estate investment, the one you have in London? Like, how did you guys find that deal, and how did that go?
Oh my god, it's the best deal, and it's all thanks to the realtor who helped us, Paula, if you're watching.
Yeah, she's
yeah,
awesome.
she's amazing.
Tartan development.
Yeah, she was at that.
Yeah.
network.
She has the
Yeah.
Hotel Julie, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, she's amazing
Yeah,
as a
she
person,
found us-
as a professional.
Yeah.
So We bought it like 3-4 years ago. It was a single family house, 1.5 stories, and when we were talking to Paul, she's like, yeah guys, like, you can actually convert it into duplex. We just did like some measurements during the showing. She was like, yeah, I think it can work. We got it right before Christmas. The seller was very motivated to sell it, so we got a great deal. We got it at a discount. We got amazing construction people who just did it, like very good job, like, no complaints there. And we converted it into a side split duplex. And for the longest time I was thinking, I'm gonna put it on a long-term rental, but then hearing all these stories with LTB and things like that, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go the Airbnb route, because at least I can control who is living in my house. I can control when they're living in my house. What if one day, I decide to visit or whatever? It's a lot of control. So since then, we've been cash flowing consistently, even during the slow seasons, which I'm super happy about. I kind of figured out the whole system right now. Of course, at first it was, a bit of a scrambling. Like we forgot to put in that item or this item and the cleaner and all that like pieces, but right now we have a good system, so I'm very happy.
And are you guys managing that property yourselves right now? Or?
Yeah. Well, that's one thing. It's like that's one piece I don't really like, because it's a lot of customer service related things. And it's like they message you at any hour of the day. Doesn't matter if you're on vacation or not. You still have to be a good host, which I really care for, and I don't want people to be uncomfortable if it's if it's like an easy fix or something like that. So
would you outsource it at this point?
Because it's only 2 units, I don't see like a financial value of outsourcing it. If once I expand to maybe 4 units or something, I can definitely justify hiring like a virtual assistant and not doing it myself as much.
It was a really good deal for us, the house, because we got it for about $385, and I think it's worth around like $700,000 now.
Jeez. Awesome.
And we only put maybe $100K into renovations.
Yep.
And then we refinanced it and pulled out all the equity, so we have $0 in the house.
Nice.
And it's cash flow.
Cash flowing $2,000 a month. So the problem though is that in Canada, but specifically in London, it's really hard to expand. So it's our primary residence. Like we can't expand. They don't allow you to have more properties. So we can't really expand in London. We would have to buy them elsewhere. And then if you have a property manager, they would be jumping around different cities. Like they could do it remotely or virtually or whatever, but it's a little bit tougher. So that's why we're really looking at expanding more in the US for that reason, specifically Florida.
You were saying you might be moving out to the US. Like what state and what made you want to leave Canada or think about leaving Canada?
Yeah, so we're looking at Florida. I was interested in Richmond, Virginia, because I have a band member who's also our manager. He lives out there, and Richmond seems to be really nice and all that, but the taxes are higher. Real estate investing is not quite as alluring. But Florida seems to make a lot of sense. We have a lot of friends out there.
Yeah. For me, it's the weather. I grew up in Siberia, then I moved to Canada. Trust me, the next place I'm going to move, it's going to be warm. Like I'm not doing.
Where in Florida though? Have you guys thought that?
We're looking at West Palm Beach or Hollywood.
Like so East Coast.
East Coast, a little bit north of Miami for sure. Yeah. For me, like the music industry is more in Tampa. Yeah. So I have interest in Tampa. We like Orlando as well. We have a lot of friends in Naples, I believe. Naples, yeah.
And do you want to like invest out there as well? Like
yes.
It's also like it's like a real estate play kind of in a way.
Yes. Okay. Absolutely.
Would you guys clear everything that you have in Canada and just put it all in the US? Or?
Potentially.
Yeah, I'm open to that.
Potentially. Because if somebody decides they don't want to pay rent in Canada, it could take 18 months to evict them, maybe even longer. But in the US, it's a lot quicker. And I mean, it's not that we're even thinking about evictions, but it's more about investing and protecting our capital, protecting our investment.
And having control over your asset, right? Because in Canada, unfortunately, with the current situation, it's like hard to control how your property is being used. Like if it's, dilapidated or something like that, and you can't really do, any renovations, things like that, right? And it's like you can't evict the tenants.
There's a lot of red tape. It's very hard to get permits. So there's a lot more strategies, a lot more things that we can do within the US on the real estate side of things. And then obviously for me, the music industry is all in the US. So that makes a lot more sense for me as well.
100%.
Yeah. So are your band members in Canada though?
Some are in the US, some are in Canada.
Okay. And then when you guys meet up, like when you guys perform and stuff? Or?
Yeah, we meet up when we have a tour that's about it.
Awesome. And when was your last tour?
this would have been like last year, yeah.
Oh, cool.
In the summer, but mostly this year it's been a release cycle. We've been working on music videos, so we've been filming. So we've been meeting up for the music videos and flying. Some of the
And are
members
you
flying
filming,
up.
like using your stuff, like your production?
Yeah, so I'm actually producing, shooting. I'm in the videos as well.
Everything, bro.
And then I have been hiring a crew though. So I've been hiring a director and a cinematographer, and he's also been doing editing because I don't like editing.
Oh yeah, that's probably the worst.
Looking over to the crew here.
Yeah. Are you like meticulous with your vision? Like, are you the one who's telling them how to edit it, or you let them
It's a collaboration.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
it's a collaboration.
Do you find it hard to let go of the project and let them do it, or?
Yes and no, because I think it's very meticulous work and the details do really matter. And it's just very visual, right? So, every frame, every set piece, all of it, like every detail matters in film, even more so than music, I'll admit. Like with music, it can be a bit more raw or a bit more natural or whatever. But with film, it's like you're so used to seeing this quality on obviously movies, Netflix, TV and all that. So there is kind of a standard. The bar is set so high, right? Yeah.
How's that feeling when everyone's sitting down watching it for the full time?
Yeah, I mean it's great. I mean I love it, and it's the feedback has been awesome. Like we've had a video come out a couple days ago, and it was shared by a very well-known band, actually, by a band called Born of Osiris, and they have 700,000 followers on Facebook. They have millions of streams on YouTube, on Spotify. So
How'd you feel?
yeah, it's great. It's awesome.
Okay.
It feels like it's just so much work, hard work, time, money, effort, all of that went into it. And to finally see it release and see the light of day and all that, it's honestly, it's kind of like a weight lifted off, because it's just at this point, just waiting for it to be done to kick in, so yeah.
That's why the production is so important, right? Because like if it's like low quality, like shares from those big kind of like I guess bands, like might be harder, right? But if they're putting out like something that's like great production, it's easy for them to like be like, wow, this is amazing work. Like these people actually invested in themselves. Like
a lot of people, this actually ties in with a lot of businesses and entrepreneurialism, all that, but a lot of people don't have the patience to do things like this, because a lot of people, they just want to do the work and then release it and put it out there immediately, and they don't really spend the time on the marketing plan and the strategies and all of that. So
What's tour life like? Is it?
Yeah, I
like
haven't.
Everyone says it is.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done it too much. Usually, I'll do like a week or so at a time. Like I'm not doing like long tours. It's a grind. It's pretty tough. Like a lot of my friends' bands, they're living on the road and they're doing it like. Yeah. See, I love it. Like I want to do that.
Yeah,
I
like
think
the
for
rockstar
Diana,
life.
Yeah, for Diana, it's.
I'm not coming on that.
Yeah, it's not her thing.
have you gone to shows and stuff?
I went to a few of Dexter's shows for his other bands in the past, but this one is a little too heavy for me. I think I've been to only one of the concerts, because I used to be the merch girl, It's like you always need a merch person. So I used to come to every single show for his other bands, because it was a little bit more palatable. It was like more clean singing, something I can listen to. And now it's like death metal.
Yeah.
It's an outlet.
So is your music taste different than I assume?
Us too?
Yeah.
Very much so,
Very much so.
She's more into like pop and EDM, and I'm more into like heavier extreme music and all that. But like I was saying, it's an outlet, right?
Yeah,
so
100%.
the music might be very angry, but then when you meet the individuals, they're actually like really
like the
chill.
They're like, you're the nicest
people.
guy ever.
Well, yeah.
I was so surprised because
can
like
be.
you would look at those metalheads all the time. It's like beard, tattoos, it's like just like grumpy looking dudes. And it's like, and they're like the nicest, the gentlest people. It's like
They're
you're
nice
just
people,
like,
yeah. They're the way I describe metalheads is that they're really nice until someone like messes with them. So
Wow.
Then the bear comes out.
yeah.
But you like music seems to be your outlet, which is amazing, because I feel like everyone needs one. What would you say is your outlet, like from all this
Work.
entrepreneurial
money.
stuff?
More money. It's like
The money.
That's good. That's a good team right there.
It's a good thing to be passionate about,
Right?
I mean, like not everybody says that, but it's like I am very much driven by financial rewards, and I feel like a lot of people are. They just don't outright say that. Like I love making money. I like figuring out ways to make money, especially
and
it's
spending
like,
it and
I'm actually
There we
super
go.
frugal. I'm actually
I'm just
very
joking.
frugal. It's like I'm always like,
Yeah.
maybe even penny pinching sometimes, but it's like always trying to find that new ways. Okay, like I've done like options trading and do Airbnb, like just like whatever, flips, all that stuff, private lending. It's like always kind of finding that way, and it's like almost like a monopoly game. It's like
How'd you get into options?
Same way, like I was just like researching stuff online, came on YouTube, and I was like, oh, options trading sounds great. Everybody started doing it about like maybe 3 years ago. It was like a big thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Like, I have a bit of a financial background. I could totally do it. So I signed up for the course, and it's like I never lost money on options trading.
Damn.
Like, I kind of slowed down on it right now. Just, I don't know, just a lot of stuff going on. So I don't really have the, you know, the motivation and the time to actually look at it. But it's like, I've made some really good money with options trading. So
we have a very good chartered accountant who's 60. He's in his early 60s, I believe. Yeah. And he was looking at our numbers. He's like, I've never seen anyone win every single time. Like, it just doesn't happen. But that it was only stock option trading. And then we did get assigned a few times. Yeah. We got assigned Facebook twice and Apple once. And what we did is we just held on. And we just waited. And then and now I think we're up like 60K or so. Like, it's gone up quite a bit.
What's your guys' biggest win? Would you guys share that?
That was probably getting assigned. Like, it's funny because when we're
holding it.
when we're selling puts, we're getting paid regardless. And the times that we get assigned, it was a bit of a bummer. And then we doubled down and we got assigned again, and that was a bit of a bummer. But then just holding on to it, that was our biggest win.
Grew so much
it kept growing.
Could you explain what getting assigned means for those who don't know?
So I mean, this is more her wheelhouse, but I'll try to explain it. The idea is that you're selling a put and you're agreeing to buy a stock if it dips down to a certain number. So you get paid regardless of if it dips down or not, right? But if it does dip down, then you can get assigned and then you're forced to buy 100 shares, right? And you might not want to buy 100 shares. So there is a little bit of that risk involved.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that we're doing puts for companies we believe in, like Apple, for instance. I use their products. I like the companies. So yeah.
I mean, another risk is that, let's say you're going to buy a certain stock, let's say at $100 a couple weeks from now, but it dips to $80. So technically you're buying it for more than what it's currently trading at as of that day. So that's, you know, it's a bit, you know, you're kind of feeling down. You're like, oh, like if I just like waited 2 weeks, I could have just bought it for 80 instead of 100. Mm-hmm. You get paid for that contract. Obviously that difference kind of gets decreased, but just holding it, like long-term holding it made a lot more money than any sort of trading did ever. And I mean, like, I only do it on about 5 companies. I know a lot of people just do like, you know, all sorts of stuff like GameStop and, you know, I don't do that stuff. I don't have enough, you know, strength in me to see my account dip. It's like my worst case scenario is that I buy stock that I like. And that's my worst case scenario, and I'm happy with that decision. So that's kind of my whole thing on that.
And we never actually bought into crypto. Nothing against it. Like, a lot of our friends are very successful with crypto and they have done very well and all that. But there was a time where we were very interested. We were so close to putting in a whole bunch of money. And well, no, we almost
like dipping, and I'm like,
we almost bought into it, and then it crashed right after. So we were glad that it didn't. But I'm predicting. Well, I mean, I'm not. You know, I don't have a crystal ball, obviously, but it seems like it's dipping pretty low, and a lot of people are predicting that it might actually shoot back up. So considering we've never been exposed to the market, we've never bought crypto at all. It might seem like a good time to buy.
Please keep an eye out.
Yeah, 100%. And like, it's kind of like had its run where it went up and down, and that's going back up. Like, you know what I mean? So
it might go back up.
That's what the bull run is going to happen, apparently. So especially with the Bitcoin ETFs that went out. They got a big jump, so everyone's thinking it's going to be another bull run, but
it could be. Could be.
So I mean, just something to monitor, and then you really got to believe in what you're buying, because it's like, you know, just like hearing everybody, oh my god, I'm invested into like whatever Bitcoin or something like that. It might not be for you. Like if you don't know what you're really buying, it's like, just remember what was it? Everybody was buying those like images. I forgot what it's called. NFTs.
Yes.
Everybody was
fall
buying
into that at all?
No.
Like,
no, we never bought into any cryptos.
I just remember everybody was talking about it, like those apes and whatever. Like I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Like, do you even understand what you're buying? They're like, it's a piece of art. It's a digital art. And nothing wrong with that. I don't know where those people are right now. It's like I don't hear about those anymore. It's like just one of those things, you know.
I think I like investing into physical, tangible things like real estate or guitars, or, you know, things that at least they have a purpose and they exist. But when it's kind of like, you know, NFTs, it's like, what am I buying? It's like pixels.
Cool. I'll just screenshot the picture. It's mine now.
It's not even a high bit rate. It's like, you know.
Have there been any other investments you guys have thought of at this point?
Well, we have a bunch of companies, don't we?
We do. We have
Can't
about
keep
3
track.
corps right now.
I love it.
You know,
exactly.
That's probably the best advice, is to you know, diversify and not put all your eggs in one basket, I think, because yeah, you know, if you're overexposed, over leveraged in one area, you can take a massive hit like we did, right? So now the thing is, we're hopeful that at least for us, there's a chance that we can get that money back. While a lot of our friends who may have lost a lot of money from crypto and things like that, there's no recouping that money. It's
Maybe
just
just
gone, or
pressed
from
the button
stocks,
or made a wrong
right?
decision, and
So, or like
nobody's
shorting
coming
things
to
like that,
save
right?
you.
So,
Yeah.
so, and that's scarier to me than, you know, at least we're doing things, we have contracts, we have lawyers, like all that stuff. So at least there's a chance that we can recoup our investment. But it was just, you know, in retrospect, I don't think I would do it again.
So how many things do you guys have on the go right now?
Oh,
then?
companies. Yeah. So we have our production company, which is Wavelens.media. We're mostly doing commercial work and we're doing music videos. So that's, we also do other areas and all
Like
that.
real estate a little bit here and there.
Weddings. Like we do other things as well, but we're trying to focus. We have one brand for, which is Fireside Films for music videos and Wavelens.media for commercial work and product.
Oh, okay.
And then, so that's one company. And then we have the real estate stuff. So
and the
options.
third is the stocks. So I just
Stocks,
hold all my stocks in the corp. So any money I make obviously get taxed.
And then the band doesn't make money. Let's be real here. That's like,
Not yet.
That's a
Not
passion.
yet.
That's
the
that's
part,
like-
right?
you know,
Yeah.
we do make some money, but the music thing is more of a passion thing.
Yeah.
It's an outlet because,
beautiful.
you know,
Yeah, because like
You
it's
need
like
that.
expressing yourself through art, like man, like nothing better than that. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, it's you create something and it's great, you know. And the other big thing for Diana is traveling. We do travel a lot.
we
I was
travel
gonna
a
ask
lot.
about that.
All
next.
the
How many countries have you guys been to so far?
I counted recently. I don't know
Yeah.
about Dexter because he traveled quite a bit as a child.
Yeah.
Like so did I. So I'm like probably around 30 right now or so. Like
Yeah, I didn't
just-
count, but I've traveled my whole life. My parents were really into traveling. They weren't into luxury or anything like that. But just traveling, that was where they would spend their money.
How do you?
Favorite-
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say favorite location you guys have been to.
That's a hard
For
one.
me, it's Thailand. Even though I've been
okay.
with my family, not with Dexter,
Yeah.
but that was probably one of the best experiences I had because at a time my grandma just passed away and I was like kind of like 17, you know, teenager, and I was just like, it was my first ever that kind of traumatizing experience. And Thailand is very big on like, you know, meditation, Buddhism. It's like very spiritual country. So just being there felt very healing. It's like just the whole atmosphere, everybody's so happy, you know. It's like, and they
the
have
food
this,
is great. And
the food is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like they believe in reincarnation, right? So things like that. So it was like very like a good soulful experience for me.
Yeah.
So that was probably my best trip ever.
For me, it might have been Holland. I lived in Holland for a year when I was 20.
Okay.
That was awesome. I loved it there.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, we've been all over. Like I have family in Spain, in the south of Spain.
I would go
So we
every
go
year.
there every year to visit them.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
or every
sick.
other year.
Good.
Yeah,
Go to
we just
Bulgaria every year because I have my grandma there.
How's
It's like-
Bulgaria?
yeah.
Bulgaria. It's like, oh, it's amazing.
Really
Honestly, it's a
nice?
hidden gem of Europe. Not a lot of people talk about like the Eastern Europe part that everybody's like, oh, Spain, France, Italy, like the
Yeah.
top
Yeah,
three
yeah.
Greece.
Yeah.
And then nobody goes further than that. So it's like Bulgaria cheap, excellent beaches, same ones you would probably get in all those other places, great food, and just the service is excellent as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How has traveling changed your mindset or like your approach on business or like thinking differently?
Well, yeah. So I find traveling to be very inspirational because you break up the monotony. You know, I think if you're doing the same routine and the same thing every day, it could be good for some aspects of life, but then it's less inspiring, I find. Right. And yeah, so just changing it up, changing your environment, seeing different countries, different cultures, you know, that's been really important for us.
So that's something that's like you guys continue to do, like just travel every year.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How
Multiple
often?
times.
I love that. That's sick. That's
How
really
often
cool.
you guys travel?
Like
Would you say?
3-4 times a year.
Yeah, something like that.
We go to Mexico every year. We go to Istanbul very often because it's usually a connecting flight, so we make a trip out of
It's
it.
usually pretty lengthy trips. It's like about a month each. Well,
Yeah, we
Mexico is
travel-
like all
that's
inclusive, like 1 week type thing, but European trips are like a month at least.
And are you guys able to operate your businesses when you guys are out of the country?
A lot of
all
it is
remote.
remote work, yeah, and a lot of times I bring like my laptop and my guitar, all that stuff, and I'm also a recording engineer, so I can do like producing and mixing, all that stuff, mastering. But yeah, that's really the big thing. Like we're really into food. And
Foodies.
yeah, we're big foodies and we love traveling. I have family in France as well. I have family in England. Yeah, it's just traveling so important
It's
to
like
us.
feeding the soul, you know. It's like you go to a different culture. It's like, oh my goodness.
What's
like,
the best food? What do you say?
What is our probably Japanese food is our
Yeah.
favorite. Yeah.
Really?
Second would probably be Indian. I'm
Really?
like really
Oh,
into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it'd be second favorite might be Mexican, I think.
Or Mexican. I don't know.
Yeah.
They look great.
One of my honeymoon to Mexico, I ate so many tacos. All the fresh
Yeah.
guacamole
Oh my
too.
god,
It's
that's
just
the
like,
best.
yeah, it's different. And like I feel like when you go to a different country, it's like, and when you go intentfully to think about business, it's like you just naturally, I don't know, it just comes to you. Like I don't know what it is, but just being somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like you said, it might just be the fact that you're out of like your norm.
Yeah.
But I found that a lot with myself.
Yeah, you have to get out of your comfort zone too, I find. You know, like just seeing like rural places, making connections, making friends in other countries, especially. It's so you're out of your comfort zone, you don't know anybody. It's just so different that you have to you kind of put yourself in a different mindset, right?
Yeah.
Which helps a lot.
Is there another target country you guys want to go to for sure that you haven't been to
Japan.
together?
Japan.
Oh,
Yeah.
you haven't been there yet?
We have not been
No,
there
not
yet.
yet.
Oh wow.
The country of perfection, they say.
Really?
Yeah, everything's perfected there.
It's like
Because they're
a
very
clean country, too.
hardworking. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And wait, that flight's probably so long.
I think, who knows,
yeah,
man?
that'd
yeah.
be like, yeah, pretty long.
Yeah.
I think you would have to fly from like Vancouver actually, because
Oh, backwards kind of
yeah,
thing?
yeah.
And the jet lag
Yeah.
too.
Oh my
Well, so that
goodness.
was the big thing for us is that when we had corporate jobs, we could never get time off because of seniority and things like that. And then it's, you know, if I was able to take this week off, it wouldn't line up with her and vice versa. So it was so hard for us to plan vacations. And you know, so quitting our jobs was like, all right, now we can actually go and travel for a month. Or
We
we can,
traveled so much
Yeah.
the first year. Like I think we were traveling every other month.
I think
or
half
so.
of the year we were
Yeah,
on
we were like
vacation,
gone. Yeah. We were just like one country after another,
That's
after another,
crazy.
after another.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know, that's why we should tour with my band, right? Like that's
You
know.
should, 100%. I support
Oh my
that
God,
idea.
just like
So I'm
slaying
really
it.
creative with so growing up I loved snowboarding, so I would teach and I would travel, and so you know, because it's very expensive to snowboard, but then if you're getting paid to do it, and I used to do competitions and all that stuff. So that's the thing, it's like I love traveling, so why not get paid while I'm traveling? So that kind of would fall in line with the whole touring aspect.
Seems
right?
like you guys don't like believe in a limit. You know what I mean?
not at all.
Like in anything you guys do, you guys talking like, you know, everything's possible. Like I guess does that just come from being together and like finding that from like the support with one another, or
Yeah, I think we're both very
Yes.
passionate. We're both very strong personalities too. But
It's all about the lifestyle for us. You
it's
know, it's
lifestyle
like
brand,
it's
yeah.
at the end of the day, like what do you really want to do in life? Like what experiences do you want to have? What are you gonna remember at the end of the day, right? And it's like if I'm staying in my corporate job and just like what am I gonna remember? Like having a fight with my project manager, or am I gonna remember, oh, that trip we took in Bahamas with like our friend, or you know, things like that. It's like those are the experiences you really live for.
Yeah.
So it's all about the lifestyle, like creating that perfect set. Like what is important to you? Like for example, working out in the morning is important to me. I like sleeping in. You can't do that in a corporate job. You have to wake up early. But for me, it's like, you know, I can't function properly. So I got to create my whole routine around, you know, what makes me feel good while making money. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
think a lot of limitations are instilled upon us through the system at such an early age and all that. And it's the parents, the teachers, you know, the whole system. Everyone's just like telling you, oh, you have to do this. You have to live by these rules. You have to do, you know, do things a certain way. And I've always challenged those limitations. I always wanted to do things. You know, I'm a bit of a fighter, right? Like I kind of go against the grain. If some
rebel.
people are doing one thing, I'm doing the opposite. Yeah, you know, and I've always been like that. Yeah, you know, so that's really, it's really important to me, and hopefully it inspires others.
Yeah. What would be your at least a couple pieces of advice for someone who's like stuck in a corporate job and like not wanting to take that risk? And like, what would be your advice if they do take that risk?
You know, I would first ask yourself, do you love it, right? Because there's people who love their jobs and they're so happy to be there, and that's awesome. But really ask yourself that question, right? Like really evaluate it and kind of look at your day to day, and you know, you kind of think, is this really what you want to be doing, right? Because for some people, yes, but for others, I would be willing to bet for most people they would rather do something else, right? They would do something that they love, or do something creative, or do something artistic, or whatever, you know. Like for her, it's, you know, it's more, I guess,
money making.
yeah. Well, you know, if I'm gonna put it bluntly, yes, you know, you can make a lot more money if you start a company, if you develop a business, than you can working a
Like a
9 to
corporate
5
job.
in, you know, in the majority of scenarios, because let's say you climb the ladder and you're making like 300,000 a year. Let's say half of that's going to taxes, right? Maybe less, maybe a little bit less, but like in Canada anyway, you're paying a lot of money for taxes. But if you're doing something for your own company and you have an incorporation, then you're on a lower tax bracket. So even that right there is usually worth it.
It's a win right there.
It is.
I would maybe ask them from like a rational standpoint, like the emotional, let's say they hate it, right? Like they're just like miserable and stuff. Like what's the worst thing that can happen to you? Like, are you going to be homeless? Like, do you think you're not going to make any money? Do you think your family is not there for you? Like, what's the absolute worst that's going to happen to you? And for a lot of people, they're not going to be homeless and they're not going to starve. So their worst case scenario out of the window. Right. And especially majority of the times, people who hate corporate jobs, they probably have some sort of a passion project or a hobby and stuff like that. They know exactly what would make them happy, because they can ask themselves, it's like, okay, what would make me happy now? Okay, like having a bowl of ice cream. Okay, cool. I'm on the beach. That would make me happy. Or like whatever, playing guitar. So it's like they can kind of elaborate on that, right? And just like ask themselves, like write down all the worst case scenarios and really ask yourself, like, is that really going to happen with you? Chances are not. So at that point, it's like, okay, then you develop a plan how to get there. So you really calculate what your monthly expenses would look like. Let's say this is how much on rent, this is how much on food. I love traveling, so that's obviously going to go up, because like in my corporate job, I can only travel 2 weeks, but I want to travel 6 months. So, okay, can I travel on points? Perhaps maybe I should get some credit cards. Like you figure out the ways to kind of work it backwards. You establish the number, and then you figure out, okay, how much do I have in savings? Okay, maybe not enough. Okay, what can I do to boost that up? Perhaps it's changing your job to maybe a commission-based job. Perhaps it's picking up a side hustle. Perhaps it's doing some side hustle, some side business or something like that. And then you kind of work backwards. Right. And then it's really just about, okay, like the emotional, we figure it out. Like you hate your job. Cool. You want to quit. Okay. Like that's the easy part. Like, how do I get there? Like step-by-step plan and figuring out those kind of like, those pros and cons type things. I used to do that. I literally, when I was about to quit my job, I picked up an A4 list and just draw down pros and cons of me quitting my job. And the biggest pros was like, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. I can pursue my dreams and I can live the life that I want to live and not the one that everybody tells me I should be living.
And as an entrepreneur, how do you motivate yourself? Because like there's no one there going to be poking you and being like, you got to get this task done,
That's a great question. It's tough sometimes, but I feel like it's all about breaking down your goals into tiny little tasks. And I feel like as long as you perform on those tasks per day, you kind of feel accomplished. So for instance, let's say our goal as a company grow to like, let's say $1 million of revenue. So what does that mean? Okay, we got to pick up, let's say 100 clients for whatever, $100,000, whatever the math is. Okay, so how do I do 100 clients a year? Okay, I divide it by 12. This is how much clients. Okay, what do I need to do to get this number? Let's say it's like 10 clients a month. What do I need to get to 10 clients a month? Okay, I gotta attend 3 networking events. Can I meet people there? Yes. I have to cold call. Okay, cool. Here's the list. I have to cold email. And you just break it down into such tiny little tasks per day. As you're breaking it down, you insert the things that are also important to you, because you don't want to just, you quit your job, you're starting a company. You don't want to just like work. You're gonna you're gonna get very tired, fatigued, and you might even lose the passion for that business because you just feel like, man, I just had a corporate job. Why did I quit it? So you just basically insert things in there that are very important to you. Like, for example, exercising, right? Like that could be one. Okay, I also want to take a day off to spend with my husband. Okay, so you just kind of work out your schedule. And as long as you're kind of performing those tasks, and at the end of the day, you feel like, okay, so did I make those 10 calls? Did I send that 2 emails or whatever that was? Okay, I did. So I'm kind of progressing towards that, that end goal of $1 million, let's say, for the company.
For me, what motivates me is to help others and to provide value. Because I think the biggest problem is a lot of people are too comfortable and they don't want to get outside of the comfort zone. And I think that being too comfortable is actually selfish in a way, because if you're willing to get out of your comfort zone and help others, add value, essentially you can grow companies, you can make more money, and then you can also create more opportunities for other people around you as well. So I've gotten a lot of opportunities for a lot of my friends. I've gotten a lot of people into film, into other creative avenues, because I was doing things not just for myself, for other people as well. And, when you're successful, you can start a company, you can also employ a lot of people. So you're helping the community, you're helping growing a healthy environment for a lot of people, right? So that to me is very, very positive and powerful. So
yeah, it's pretty much just like taking action.
It's also, fear is such a factor. Like, when I'll speak for myself, when I was younger, I was so afraid of like what if I do this, or what if the whatever, you're kind of like, all this fear is instilled in you. But if you can overcome that, right, that's where confidence comes in. You can overcome fear, then you can gain a lot of traction, a lot of success very quickly, I think.
And to add to that, in reality, people don't really care. It's like, I always tell Dexter, for example, we go to these all-inclusives and there's always a disco every single night. And Dexter's like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to dance. Like, I feel kind of awkward about it. I'm like, Dex, in reality, when people are on the dance floor, what are they thinking about? Oh, do I look stupid right now? They're thinking about themselves. They're not even looking who is around them. It's dark. Like, nobody cares. And that's like that in life. It's
also about comments.
Yeah.
Like, ignore all the noise is what I say, right?
Yeah.
Because you get all the naysayers, you get all the negative people, you get all of that. Just ignore it all. Do things for, essentially do things because you want to do them, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's a very good question, because it's so hard to be motivated. A lot of people struggle with motivation. It's not an easy question.
Yeah.
And, I think that routines do help with motivation. You get up. What was that saying? You're like, there was someone who said he wakes up and he gets to work.
Oh yeah, Alex Hermosi.
Yeah, okay, cool.
That's like a whole other topic.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's like those morning routines. It's just
because it's so easy to procrastinate. There's so many distractions. Like I spent years when I was younger playing video games, things like that. There's tons of distractions, but yeah, the whole thing, it's just the grind. You wake up, you get to work, you stay motivated, but you do things that you love, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of
it's funny. Point. It's kind of like that old school mentality.
Yeah.
Like, just like grab the hammer and get to work.
Yeah.
Same thing with your passion.
Get out of bed.
Get out of bed, get to work.
Just go get it.
Yeah.
But it's tough. It takes a lot of confidence in yourself and your belief. Like, I myself struggled with imposter syndrome when I was younger, because I'm like, am I good enough? And then people are going to criticize, people are going to be negative, people are not going to like this, or that could be related to music or to business or to other things. And you just have to ignore all the noise. Like, literally just do things for yourself, learn from your mistakes, keep working at it, practice. Practice doesn't make perfect, but practice helps towards
to get you there.
Improvements, right?
And like, on that note, like, I used to like have imposter syndrome too, right? But then like, it's some guy told me, it's like, when you focus on like gratitude, you kind of eliminate every other noise. Like, you can't be like anxious and grateful. You can't be like sad and grateful. Like, grateful just kind of eliminates any other feeling, right? So like, keeping that in touch as well is super important.
Also, to Diana's point, it's selfish to assume that people care that much.
Yeah,
because everyone's
very
everyone's living their own perception, and everyone has the blinders on and all that. So you can just, instead of assuming that everyone cares, just focus on what you need to do, and that's the best approach. I think I like that point. That was good.
Have you guys figured out what your why is at this point?
The why, it's really, I liked what you said as well. It's lifestyle brand for us. We really care about our friends and our family, and it's about just
doing what you want.
Yeah, community.
It's like how amazing is that, to wake up and you just like, you have a whole day to do all your favorite things. That's a dream.
I have an example. So I think, I know I keep bringing it back to music, but I think music is...
That's your passion, though.
It's therapeutic, right? So I think if you're feeling depressed or down or upset or anger, any emotion whatsoever, there's a music out there that can fix that. It can help with that, obviously, right? And it's also about spreading joy. Like, I've put out music and I've had people write me directly and say, hey, like, I was feeling really suicidal and your music helped me to not kill myself, right? And I was like, there's nothing more I can ask for than have my music change someone in a positive way, or inspire someone, or motivate someone. Like, maybe someone would say, hey, like, you're so good at what you do, it's inspired me to pick it up and to learn and to do it myself. And the same reason why I'm a teacher. Like, I taught snowboarding and guitar for many, many years. And seeing the progress, seeing people going from absolute beginner, never done this before, to joining bands, playing shows, like, putting music out there, recording and all that. It's amazing to see the progress in other people. Do you feel
awesome. like a black sheep in the music industry, in the heavy metal industry? Like, you're an investor too, you have all these businesses going on, or is that like something that's like part of the community?
Yes, 100%. So the music industry is extremely liberal, and I don't think they take too kindly to money people, because it's all about the art, and I do it because of the art and because of music and all that, but I'm also a business person as well. And I partially retract that statement, because I think the people who are succeeding in music are also business people, or they're getting screwed by a label or by their management or something like that. So I think the independent artists out there that are self-managed and self-employed and all that, they have to be business people, because they have to do every single aspect of it.
Yeah.
But in general, I think like the fan base and the whole the musical community, they don't really, I try not to talk too much about the business stuff around them, because they're more into like the peace and love and all that. It's not really about money, right? It is about music for that. So yeah.
And that's why you've been with the band for so long. Like you said, like you guys are making money, but like it's just more of a passion driven thing for you.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, a lot of people, they don't want to invest into themselves. Like I've invested a lot of money into my band in order to do things like recordings, mixing, mastering music videos, all that. Even like not even just the equipment, but like everything about it is very, very expensive. But yeah, no, like back to your question, the purpose is also, family, like everything we've done, it's kind of strengthened our relationship. And, I always say a relationship is based on trust. And, we're
compromise.
Yeah, it's about compromise, and in some relationships we have to compromise a little more than others because no, I'm just joking. But
we love I love it.
No. But yeah, I think it's a journey, right? At the end of the day, like it's ups and downs, hills and valleys and all that stuff. And,
I like the abundance mindset, like where like you guys are thinking of money as a tool, and then it's gonna keep on coming. There's no like end to it. Keep on coming, invest in our dreams, do our passions. It's coming. It's not like you guys are like scarce and you guys are like, oh, we have to have this. We can't like buy this guitar or that.
I'm a big fan of Jim Carrey for that reason. Like he came from really humble beginnings, and he visualized a lot of his opportunities and his success, and he wrote himself a check for $10 million that was post dated, and then he was actually able to cash himself that check through his opportunities.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
do you believe in like the visualization, and manifestation and stuff like that?
I do, but I think that you make your own luck as well. I think you also it has to be coupled with a lot of very hard work and motivation, and there's a lot of grind behind that. It's not just I'm going to manifest something and it's just going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe in that, but I do believe that, if you put out like a certain energy into the universe, that you can couple that with very hard work, and success will come,
Get it back,
so
I mean, like people call it manifestations, like such a fancy word for that, but in reality just a person set a goal and they just work backwards. Like there's no magic behind it, really.
But
just
that's
like
what it
person
takes.
really wanted it, and they just worked so hard to achieve it. Like they showed up when they needed to show up, they made that call, they made that connection, they worked hard, whatever industry they are in. It's just the goal. There's no magic behind
That's
it,
true.
really.
There is like some fairy dust that's put onto that word.
Yeah, well, what I will say is that if you really believe in something and you believe it to be true, and you're not just, saying like, okay, this is going to happen, you truthfully believe it, then it is the truth in a sense, because you believe it, like there's no one else telling you that you don't believe that thing, right? So
And you guys both mentioned fitness. Like you said, you put down your morning routine sometimes. Then you said you got a personal trainer.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, you said you got a personal trainer and you want to get into it. Explain
you should tell
why.
us how you got it. Eh?
Yeah, like why'd you
That's
do
an
that?
interesting-
You guys are gonna laugh. Yeah. So
Never laugh. We'll never laugh.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's like the cliche like New Year's resolution, like everybody gets a gym membership first, But the difference is that we were already working out from home for like a long time before then. So I was like, all right, we're just upping the weight. That's it. But the routine was already there, all of that. But the way I approached it, I went to the gym and I became friends with the owner. I became friends with the head trainer. And I said, hey, I can do content for you guys. So I can do photos and videos. And in exchange, we're doing free memberships for both of us. And then we're doing free personal training sessions. Well, not free, like we're just trading services. And they're doing a really interesting program, which it has bio.
So they're basically testing your genetics on different like vitamins, like what you're prone to having little of or too much of. It's like a whole thing. And based on that, they'll come up with a nutrition plan for you as well as a workout plan for you. So it's like a very holistic approach.
They're doing
it
with
tailored to you.
They're doing it with the University of Toronto. So it's there's actual science and
there's an actual doctor testing
there's actual doctors involved, and there's very advanced machinery, very futuristic stuff, and they can do these tests that have to do with nutrition and allergies people might not know that they have, and it has to do with lectins, which is like a pretty new thing. So they're discovering that a lot of foods have lectins that cause your body to attack itself, and it's not something that you notice right away. It's something that's a slow, gradual thing over a long period of time.
Is this similar to Gary Brecka, what he's been doing with like He essentially tests you, figures out how long you'll live, and then
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So he
Very
could tell you.
similar, yeah.
It's actually freaky. He could tell you like the
When you'll
exact day
die,
that you're
right?
gonna
Yeah.
die.
Damn.
But
you guys
then-
have done these tests already?
Well, we're about to.
We're
do
about
it.
to. Yeah.
This is awesome.
We're
I
going to be
wanna know more.
documenting the journey,
Yeah.
but we're also test subjects for the program.
Oh, that's sick.
So we're getting, and they're paying. It's like thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
They're paying,
100%,
they're
yeah.
paying
Yeah.
for everything for us, and then all
In
we're doing
exchange
is
of us documenting.
Yeah, we're doing the photos
the
and
whole
videos and all
process.
that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm actually so I'm working with a filmmaker, Matt Hamilton, who's won
Yeah.
a lot of awards and all that. So I'm moving a little more into documentary filmmaking
Pitch it to
space.
Netflix. Pitch it to Netflix.
Yeah, so we
for
can
sure.
talk to Netflix. We might even want to. So anyway, with this program, that guy, he could tell the exact day that
Yeah.
someone will die. But then if that person then starts cutting out certain foods and things like that, then they can also change their
That's crazy.
their path.
Have you
right?
guys started it already? Like the
Well, so because like I mentioned, the owner of the gym, he read a book called The Plant Paradox, and he's very passionate about this book. So we've had meetings where he told us all about it, and so we've already started cutting out certain foods, and it's really like lectins is a new thing. It's the idea is that certain plants don't want to be eaten. So if an animal eats that plant, they'll be like, I'm not going to eat that anymore because I got sick or whatever. But with humans, it's like we don't really notice it, but over a long period of time, it's creating autoimmune deficiencies. And so the belief, I forget the doctor's name, but the belief is that a lot of autoimmune diseases can be cured, not treated, cured entirely, right?
By simply not eating certain
something?
things that are not
Yes.
good for you specifically.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't mean like, oh, everybody's like, okay, you're not supposed to eat oatmeal. Like that might work for you, might not work for another person. So doing the genetic testing, it's like telling you specifically.
Have you guys found out what you guys can eat yet? Or
Well,
No, we're about to
there's
do the
so the
tests,
doctor
yeah.
does have like a do's and don'ts list, and there's a lot of foods that contain lectins, and there's foods that don't. So it's been really kind of
this is sick.
it's really
It's crazy
interesting
how
stuff.
it's like the human body is so different, each and every one of us, that we each have a different like subjective needs, and like they said that the best medicine for everyone would be a pill of exercise.
Yeah.
Like if
Oh, I thought
everyone
you said ecstasy for a second.
yeah, let's go.
That probably helps. That probably helps.
No, like
Firing up
like
here.
Make everyone happy.
like exercise. Like imagine you could put like an hour workout into a pill. And
Yeah.
people would be addicted to it because they're
100%.
like.
Oh, yes.
So is that coupled with physical activity as well?
Yeah, well, I've been doing a lot of filmmaking for like the biggest guys in the gym. I've made a lot of friends there. They're all they're competitive. They do bodybuilding competitively, and they do shows and everything like that. And now I'm doing all the content for them, so they're super passionate about like health, fitness, diet. Like that's their daily grind. Like every single day, that's all they do. Right?
Do you find you're learning a lot being around these
Oh
guys?
yeah. Well, so the thing is, I've had trainers that are like not so good, but the reason why my trainer right now is so good is because he's the manager. He's the head trainer. Like he's the most knowledgeable, the one teaching everybody else everything. And also the main thing is he cares. Like he's there. He wants to be there. Like he's fired up and all that. Like I've had so many trainers that was just like punching the clock and
It's a job,
Just a
right?
job.
wanna
Yeah, I
be
want my
there.
paycheck. I'm out. Right?
Yeah, they're kind of like So anyway, this guy is awesome. But this has been like I'm very keen on. I'm a beginner, but we're doing. We're
Are you
on.
gonna stick to it?
Yeah, I'm sticking to it. Yeah,
100%?
I'm
I love
hooked.
it.
I'm hooked. I'm there every day. Like
man.
we're really gonna. Next year on the podcast, I don't know if my head's gonna fit through the door. Right?
Oh, I love it. That dude's gonna come here. We're gonna have to get him on the couch or something.
We're gonna have to switch spots.
Yeah, literally. Too big for the chair.
I guess what are some of your big goals for this year or the next couple years? Like some things that you guys are gonna attack.
Yeah, breaking the mold. That's really we want to push boundaries. We want to expand. We want to grow. Like that whole. I know I've brought this up a couple times, but being complacent for a little while. It's there was a good period of time where we were just getting like 30-50K every month, just passive income. And like the thing with passive, we're not lifting a finger. We're literally just collecting money, and it was great. And we're like we can just travel, do whatever we want. But that's kind of like the wrong attitude because you want to be prepared for the ups and the downs. You want to be, I think before we were more focused on passive income. Now we're more focused on active income.
yeah.
Yes. So developing companies, hiring employees. That's
Well, we're restructuring
awesome.
our production company now to maybe make it more tailored towards like a marketing agency approach.
Yeah, we're working with multiple marketing agencies. The filmmaker that I work with, he's won many awards. Some of his videos had over 20 million views on YouTube. Wow. He's done documentaries. He works with massive brands and everything. And we've just partnered up. So now the two of us are working together. Yeah. He's been doing it way longer than me. And the idea is that maybe we could even do a documentary about the financial situation, like the money that we lost, and we can do a, you know, when the time is right, we can name names and do an expose and pitch it to Netflix. So that's kind of the idea that, you know, if you're watching, you know, we got eyes on you, right? So
that's
you know?
crazy. Yeah.
So would you say that's like the number one focus maybe, like for the next like?
Well, you know, I will admit, right? So there was about a year of like depression and hardship and all that, and then a lot of that turned into anger, which, you know, I think anger is healthier because it kind of, at least if I'm mad, I'm like, let's go, let's get it. You know, I'm really grinding, I'm motivating. It's a very motivating factor to be angry, right? So it's maybe not the health. I don't recommend it for everyone. Don't go around and be angry or anything like that. But if you can, you know, if you can channel it for something positive, then I think that is a very motivating factor.
I read a book by Patrick Bet-David, and it was like Choose Your Enemies Wisely, which is like, it's actually like a benefit to have an enemy, like not trying to be negative.
I've heard that as well.
There is benefit in that. You know what I mean?
Some people go out of their way to find an enemy, to make an enemy, because that's what gives them the drive and the motivation to go out and get it. Like, I have kind of weird feelings about that because, like, you know, anyway, it's like I didn't choose this situation. This is something that just got put on us that we never asked for, right? But the outcome is that we can turn that rage into,
not to get like I guess like, not to get too religious here, but it's funny because I just reshared something and it said like God will put a Goliath in front of you to take out your inner David. You know what I mean? Like, because David was supposed to lose that fight against Goliath, and then he won as like a small guy compared to a giant. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes these big things come your way, but just so like you can see who you really are and what you can really overcome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's really about integrity, right? Because like we've always done everything by the books. We've always been good to everyone. We've never ripped anybody off. Like, and you know, we're gonna maintain that integrity. We're gonna keep being decent people and good people and really caring about people in our circle and people, you know, who we associate with and all of that. And I think that eventually the scumbags out there, they're going to lose eventually because they're going to slip up. They're going to piss off the wrong person, like whatever, right? Like,
and
you know,
it's a good lesson to everybody, whoever is thinking of partnering up on like a JV or like a business. It's not just about what that person done in terms of proof of concept, what deals they've done and all that stuff. Make sure your ethics align, make sure your values align. Because for me personally, I can't sleep at night if I owe $1 to a person. For somebody, they might owe millions of dollars and sleep like a baby. So just make sure that piece, like the lifestyle piece, like they're like same as yours.
Yeah, that's important. And I think that's honestly one of the most valuable lessons, and I love how you guys are very transparent about it. And like I said, I talking to you guys, it's like you guys are glowing, you know, you guys are succeeding from it. It's not like it put you down into a pit. You know what I mean? Like you guys are, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go to the States. We're gonna
it did put us into a pit. But the thing is, to be able to climb out of that pit is really the win.
Yeah,
in the end, right?
In a way, you guys don't look like it ever happened to you guys. Like you guys just like radiate this energy of like hustle, like we got this kind of thing. You know what I mean? So like when you guys share this story, it's actually remarkable because like to see people that have come this far that have such a bad outcome. It's honestly, it's crazy.
And a couple too, like that's real
like
strength and unity. You know what I mean? Like especially in the world now, it's like it's hard to go through something hard with someone, right? So like that's important.
You see a lot of relationships crumble when there's
hardships.
Hardship. Yes, right. So being able to overcome it together has been really good for us.
It's not easy. Like it's you know, it's like everybody gets like down days and stuff like that, and just being there for each other. It's tough because like, you know, your cup is empty, but somebody else is also empty. So what do? You guys are both drained about the whole situation, and just realizing that you're in the same boat and you can go through it together and it's gonna be fine on the other end. And sometimes you have excellent days where you're just like, okay, this was nothing, like you know. And it's like we had months of that. Like I personally struggled with like months of, I don't want to call it depression, but I was just in the very low point, just like not willing to do anything, just okay, like I messed up really big, I blamed myself, I still do certain parts, because I mean you got to be accountable, right? It's like I chose to do that action, I chose that person. Extreme ownership yeah. Well, sometimes it can backfire, right? Because it's like it could be a good thing in certain circumstances, it could be a very demoralizing thing. And it's just like seeing Dexter during that time, because it's like if I was like in my head like more like self-blame, and he was more like anger, but that anger produced results, and he was like, no, I'm gonna produce an album, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna start a band, and I'm like, what am I sitting here doing nothing?
You need an outlet, basically.
Yeah. The most fire music came out there
literally.
No, I think I wrote like I developed a new project. We wrote like 15 songs in a month, which was crazy. Yeah, which was crazy.
Did you have a song dedicated to that?
And it was a very angry project. I'll admit that. It's something we don't really have a name yet or anything like that, but it's going to be more marketable, but also heavier. Like,
yeah.
Did you have a song that you dedicated to that loss in any way, where you got like you let all your emotions out?
Well, you know, so not really. Like for me, it's more the music side. I don't really do the lyrics or the I leave that to the vocalist usually. Yeah. Because I think it's going to be more. It's going to be more personal to the singer. Yeah.
Poor guitar,
right? Poor guitar during that process.
Yeah. No, but I love that. Like I said, like you guys are definitely out of that pit. It seems like, and like you guys have one another, and I love your whole story. And is there anything you guys would like to, I guess, promote or share with our audience that you would like them to focus on, like any of your businesses or album or?
Well, yeah, like I think I mentioned this earlier, not in the interview, but I've been doing a lot of work with Sheet Happens Music Publishing, and I really wanted to give a shout out to those guys because that was that changed my life. That was the best opportunity I've ever had in my entire life. They're a publication that does tab books, which is a form of sheet music for guitar players, and they work with all my favorite bands, like all the touring bands. And I do a lot of their film work. So I do their content such as interviews. We do master classes, riff breakdowns, and the idea is that when the bands are coming through town, they come into the headquarters, and then I get to work with some of my favorite artists of all time.
Meet them too.
It's been hanging out, meeting them, and it's really such a positive, awesome environment, and that all came from a Facebook post too. So the power of social media.
That's crazy.
I had a Facebook post. Where it was promoting local businesses, entrepreneurs, and things like that, and just saying, hey, you know, if you're a local businessman, entrepreneur, share this post, and that actually got a lot of people reach out to me. So
that's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah. And what about yourself? Would you like to share anything on your end, or?
Well, we have a video production company, obviously. So if anybody is looking for sort of,
we'll add all the tags and stuff.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
So anybody looking for like some video content, things like that, we could do that. I just got my real estate license. So if anybody's looking to buy a property, I'm here. If somebody just wants to chat just about business or whatever, I'm also here. Or if somebody is going through the same kind of circumstance and situation where involves, you know, like a downfall or whatever, and like needs a little bit pick me up moment, I'm also here. So
that's awesome.
kind of going through it. You know.
I'll also shout out my friend Sean because he's been really helpful. He's Sean Ingham. But yeah, he told us something that, you know, hey, you know, people have started with less, right? So even though we took that hit, being able to ramp up and all that, that's been great.
Just be grateful for what you have, right? It's like there's a lot of people out there who are in a way worse position than you. And any fall that you have, take it as a lesson, take it as a motivator to actually succeed. And the one thing is, like, you can have all the money in the world, but if you have no skills, and if you lose all that money, you can recoup it. But if you have the skills, you have the knowledge, you can make it time and time again, no matter what happens to you. And you get better at it because now your whole condition and how you evaluate a deal changed drastically. So you're probably not going to make the same mistake again.
Yeah. No, beautiful. Yeah, I guess we could wrap it up there. Thank you guys so much for taking the time and sitting with us. And I'm sure we'll have you back on the podcast, and you guys 100%. Will be at a whole different level.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, peace.